When it comes to the brakes, I found some EE brakes also in the color orange, and that fitted the Mango color quite well. So of course I went for them because they're also like ridiculously lightweight, and pretty much all the cables that are going into the brakes as well as into the shifters are jack wire cable housings, also in orange. They're not really 100% matching the orange of the Chris King and of the EE brakes, but I'd say good enough. I guess the road bike style police is not going to arrest me for those. So let's talk about the little bit more juicy bits, especially around the cockpit. The stem is a 110 millimeter AliExpress stem called Uno stem. It is very light. All the bolts have been swapped out for titanium ones, and the handlebars are actually from a company called Darimo. Ridiculously light. It also has like this nice charcoal kind of style texture, which I think looks really nice. Then there's also an out front computer mount by a company called Carbon Works, also very light. I mean, there are lighter ones out there, but I kind of liked the look and the way how this one integrates. So talking about Darimo, the seat post is also from the company Darimo. It is super light. It's 61.8 grams. Or the weight is also achieved by the way how the seat post is holding onto the saddle, and it's holding onto the saddle by these so-called Dyneema fabric loops, which seems to be a fabric which is very stress resistant. At least I wasn't able to like rip it apart, which was the first thing that I was trying to do before actually mounting the saddle. So yeah, the saddle isn't moving anywhere on those rides so far. In regards to the saddle, it's a Pro Logo Dimension 143. I really like this one. I don't have any big issues with like numbness in that area. The lightest version of this saddle is so-called NUC, which basically just speaks for that it has carbon rails. Then in regards to a couple of smaller chunks, let's not forget the bottle cages. So these bottle cages are from our trusty AliExpress as well. They're 7 grams each. They haven't been super cheap. I think they've been around 40 euros or something like that. When I bought them, I thought that they're gonna fall apart or break right away. But to be honest, I think I've been riding 500 or 700 kilometers with those already without issues. So knock on wood that it will stay that way. And yeah, one thing I forgot to mention, of course, chain is also a Dura Ace chain, nicely waxed, so it keeps our hands clean. In regards to pedals, I'm using the Wahoo Speedplay power meter pedals, only one-sided power meter pedal because the dual-sided was way too expensive. So yeah, in the future, I want to try to get this bike as light as possible because I just really love the ride feel of the steel frame. It just feels so forgiving, especially when you compare it to something that's like a really aero carbon frame, like the Yuleo or the BMC. Like I love riding the Yuleo, but there are moments why I want to ride this, and also moments when I want to ride that one. So what I want to look into in the future is, upgrading the crankset. So there is a crankset called Clavicula, I think SE, by a company THM. Unfortunately, it's ridiculously expensive, but it's super light, completely made out of carbon. Also, the through axle is made out of carbon. So yeah, I'm keeping my eyes open on the second-hand market. Let's see. I'm very interested, by the way, in case any of you have experience with any of those parts that I'm now mentioning as potential upgrades. If you have a good experience with it, or especially if you had bad experience with it, let me know so I don't burn through money without a need for it. I mean, to be honest, I guess there's no need to buy any of those anyways, but you know what I mean. Then I also want to give a full carbon saddle a try, because I remember on my very first AliExpress road bike, I also had an AliExpress fully carbon saddle, and I also didn't really have any uncomfortable issues with it. So let's see what's out there, what's super light to mono there to shave a couple of grams off. Because even though this has carbon rails and is the carbon version of it, it is still padded, so there is kind of some extra weight which doesn't necessarily need to be there. Then of course there is the super heavy original Dacordi seat post clamp here, which needs replacing for a carbon one. I just don't know if I can clamp steel with a carbon clamp, or is that material bending enough or not flexible enough? Is the carbon clamp gonna break? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out right now. So that's a potential upgrade. Then I was still wondering, even though those wheels are pretty light, there are of course lighter ones, especially if you go more shallow. I'm kind of undecided if I want to go more shallow, because I feel that with an old school frame, if you want a couple of aero gains, you need to go at least with 50mm deep sectional wheels. But let's see, I still need to make up my mind. I guess I could shave like 150 grams off the bike by going for a very shallow carbon wheel. So one thing I definitely want to do is swap out those outer cables for Jaguar Elite Links, which are those like little metal pieces that you basically put together, which are supposed to be way lighter, and obviously they're compressing way less than a typical cable housing. And yeah, I hope to shave off a couple of grams this way, and I also consider to drop the orange, at least for the cable housing, so we just got the metal parts representing orange on that bike. So that, I would say, that was the overview about my favorite bike, how I got to the lightweight. Of course, we're now gonna weigh it, but before that, I just wanted to let you know or ask you, if you like this kind of content, give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing. There's gonna be way more steel frame, but also some carbon frame builds coming up. Also, the optimization of this frame is going to come up. I'm also going to speak through my standard bike in the future as well, and so on and so forth. So yeah, give it a like and a subscribe. I would definitely appreciate that. I mean, it would mean a lot to me, you know. So yeah, let me stop rambling and let me take off the bottles and the pedals, and then yeah, let's weigh this bike. Okay, it's time to weigh it. Set to 0. I know we shouldn't be mounting it by the seat, but just this one time. Check this out. 702, sorry. So there you have it. I guess you can build a pretty lightweight steel bike off of a pretty old steel frame. I wouldn't say at a budget maybe, but still, it's possible. And let's see if we can get it UCI illegal with a couple of more extra tunes. But saying this is it for this one. Thanks a lot for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.